Today is Friday, June 9th, and we're going to go around the bases with our MLB insider at the New York Post, Jon Heyman. Jon, how you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you, Ryan?
I'm doing well. We're going to start off with our top story here, the New York Mets getting swept by the Atlanta Braves. They've lost 6 straight. Pete Alonso, their best hitter, might be going on the IL after getting hit on the wrist. This is not going well for this team, the highest payroll in baseball. What more can you say about this team right now and the struggles they're going through?
Yeah, I mean, that was a disastrous 3 games in Atlanta. They had a 3-run lead in all 3 of those games, lost that lead, lost those games, never did that before. Worse, that it was against Atlanta, who's in first place, their nemesis. It just feels like they cannot beat the Braves. Things are going very, very poorly for the Mets. I mean, Scherzer and Verlander, $43 million apiece. They have got to do more. For $43 million, you should be a star. Obviously, Verlander has been up and down. Scherzer's been a little bit better than Verlander, but still not at that price. They're not hitting like they did last year. I mean, Marte was a great hitter last year. Canna was better last year. Lindor was much better last year. They're not pitching as well. I think they miss Bassett, who's been really good for Toronto, was good for the Mets last year. I mean, nothing is going great right now. And you mentioned Alonso. It does look like he's going to go on the IL, as we reported first. Hitting the wrist, 97-mile-an-hour fastball from Charlie Morton. He obviously took it like a man. He's a very tough guy, but came to New York and got some more tests. And the feeling now is that he may miss a few weeks, not just those 10 days, but could be up to a month or so. And that would be a major blow. They've been looking for a number 5 hitter to bat behind him. Personally, I think that should be Alvarez at this point. He's doing pretty well. So maybe they found their 5 hitter, but now they're going to be without their 4 hitter, and that hurts even more.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack here with the New York Mets. Obviously, Buck Showalter's comments didn't go over well with the fans, saying I was really proud of the guys, even though they did blow another lead, 3 straight leads in 3 straight games against the Atlanta Braves. You talk about Francisco Alvarez smacked 2 home runs last night, but let's focus on this pitching here again real quick. Your 2 aces that you paying $43 million a year in Verlander and Scherzer. Scherzer seemed to wear down again, in the 6th inning, giving up that lead. And then you have Verlander, who can only pitch 3 innings yesterday. Are you concerned about the 2 aces in this staff and not performing up to their expectations?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we've got to be concerned at this point. It used to be real negative to throw 5 innings, not quite as bad as it used to be. But I mean, we're talking about the 2 highest paid players in the game in Verlander and Scherzer. And you'd like them to be at least 7-inning pitchers if they're going to be making that kind of money, that kind of responsibility. That really should be the strength of the team. And I understand everyone on Twitter and all over is talking about how old they are. I mean, Verlander was arguably the best pitcher in the game last year. Scherzer, up until the last couple of outings, was really good for the Mets. Obviously missed a little bit of time, but he was really good. If you go look at those stats, probably deserved to be an all-star. I don't think we foresaw this at all, the up and down nature of Scherzer. And Verlander's been up and down too, but more down than up as far as I can say. I just want to touch on Buck a little bit. I mean, when he's talking in those post-game press conferences, he's talking to the fans, but he's also talking to his team. And I get the fans wanting to hear something really nasty and negative, and you're not going to get that from Buck Showalter, really any other manager in Major League Baseball. Now, we saw when Ali Marmol from the Cardinals tried something negative on Tyler O'Neill. He got shot down, and it turned into a complete disaster. This is just that modern era where really there isn't a lot of criticism going on, but he's talking to his team too. And I think that it was probably a good thing to say to the team that he's proud of them and he feels good about them, because, I mean, they feel like garbage, really, frankly, getting on that plane to go to Pittsburgh, losing 3 in a row to your nemesis like that. It was a disaster. And, I know that if you're going to be completely honest, you got to say we choked, we blew it, we're terrible, whatever. But that's not the right thing to say if you want to keep going and play better.
The Mets currently sit 8.5 now in the NL East behind the Braves. It's going to be a tough go of it now going into Pittsburgh. Let's move across town to the New York Yankees. Aaron Judge obviously crashed into the wall over the previous weekend against the Dodgers, making that incredible catch. He banged his toe against the concrete wall. He's been dealing with that toe injury. He got a PRP injection. This Yankees offense, they just dropped 2 out of 3 to the Chicago White Sox. Are you concerned about this offense and Judge being out on a timeline? We really have no idea how long he could be out for.
Right, with a toe injury, we don't know. They haven't said. I mean, sometimes the toe injury could be as little as 10 days to 2 weeks, and sometimes it could be a lot longer than that. I mean, I don't want to speculate here on the length of his injury because I really do not know, but I will say this. They're going to miss him. He is the best position player in the game, in my opinion, the best hitter in the game. And I mean, you saw him crashing the wall. He's a terrific outfielder. I'm not sure why the defensive metrics don't do him justice, but I'm kind of the belief that Bobby Abreu had a right to stay away from the walls. It's probably not worth it. Rather give up that double there than make that catch. In retrospect, of course, you didn't know that was going to happen. I think they're fixing that fence. What are you going to do with a fence? Sometimes it's better to have a brick wall like they have in Wrigley Field. Nobody runs into it, right? They know it's a brick wall with a little moss on top of it. So you know to stay away from that. But if you have like a fence that looks like a chain link fence or something like that, and you're a tough guy like Judge, you're going to go for it. And, I'd hope on a brick wall he wouldn't do that. And, you never see anybody doing that at Wrigley Field, right? So maybe it's better not to mess around and make it clear you better not run into the wall.
Yeah, I mean, Judge is that type of player, though. He's all out all the time. It feels like you can't really, tame that kind of effort that he puts into the game every day. Real quick, again, this offense, Stanton, DJ LeMahieu struggling, Rizzo struggling as of late. Do they have enough in this lineup to keep the offense going right now?
I mean, you would think the track record is there, but if you look back to last year, this whole group struggled other than Judge in the second half. I do believe that Rizzo is still a really good hitter. I mean, he's coming back from a neck injury, so perhaps that's been affecting him since he has returned. LeMahieu has done nothing, though.
No.
Glaber's been okay, not great. Volpe, I mean, he's been okay defensively, but, he's hitting under 200 at this point. I wonder if a decision may need to be at least considered at some point there because he certainly isn't contributing enough offensively. Scouts I talk to think that he needs to get rid of that uppercut and try to swing level. I mean, sometimes even the power hitter, if you look at Stanton's swing, it's pretty level or almost down, right? I mean, the uppercut swing is not going to behoove somebody who's not a huge guy. And he's not a huge guy, and he can hit it out even to right field. Certainly to right field at Yankee Stadium. So I think the scouts are thinking that he's over swinging, going for that launch angle, trying to pull the ball, and he needs to correct that. But certainly without Judge, they're not the same team. They are extremely reliant on him, and that's why this is a concern.
It really is. And like you said, AL MVP, the most productive player for a lineup. It's going to be a struggle for this offense to continue to produce without him. Let's talk about Elly De la Cruz and making his debut this week, obviously on Tuesday against the Dodgers. Since the town of Cincinnati seemed to be really excited, the fans came out, they were selling a ton of tickets, and he put on a show for the fans. I mean, home run, triple, double, single in his first 3 games. He's electric, John. And this Cincinnati Reds team seems to be fun. What more can you say about him as a player, as a prospect coming up, and this Cincinnati Reds team?
Yeah, let's talk about something happy now. Elly De la Cruz has really electrified the town of Cincinnati. It is a baseball town. I would say the baseball towns, in my mind, St. Louis, Cincinnati. I mean, Boston's a crazy sports town all around, but I still think it's a baseball town first and foremost. And of course, we know New York is a baseball town, but Cincinnati certainly is, and they have the tradition. The longest tenured franchise and all those great stars, particularly in the 70s when they were so great. And Elly De la Cruz is the #1 prospect in baseball, and rightfully so. I talked to the 2 scouts who signed him for a whopping $65,000 5 years ago when he was 16 years old. And one of them told me he's 3/8, and other scouts did agree with that. On the 2 to 8 scout scale, an 8 is rare. An 8 is Judge power. An 8 is Corbin Carroll's speed. He's got 3 8s, running, throwing, and power. So, I mean, he's got the speed of Carroll. He's got the power of a Stanton or a Judge. This is a rare, rare talent. Very exciting for Cincinnati. Very exciting for baseball.
And then when you look at this Cincinnati Reds team now with De La Cruz up here, obviously you can't rely too much on a rookie to make that much of an impact, but he already has. And you got guys like Matt McClain, Tyler Stevenson. They got some young, talented players. Is this team, could they possibly make a threat in the NL Central, which is not the strongest division in baseball, but could they be playing some fun baseball here the rest of this summer?
Anything is possible. I mean, Milwaukee, which has done a good job. They've had a lot of injuries. They've played well, is hanging on right now. I mean, St. Louis has probably the most talent. They have underperformed. But, I mean, Cincinnati, all these kids. I mean, Matt McClain looks like not a star. He's certainly going to be a very good major league player. And he's also a shortstop like De La Cruz. So they're going to have to figure out exactly how they're going to fit everybody. De La Cruz may ultimately be a center fielder, but they've got a lot of kids playing well right now. They have Steer, Friedel, Fraley. It's a ton of young guys doing well for Cincinnati. That's a team that has really signed guys internationally well. They've drafted well. The trades have not always been great. The signings, when they do them, like Mike Moustakas, don't always work out, but they do procure the young talent, the amateur talent. And here they got a guy for 65 grand, as I say, who is the number one talent among prospects in baseball. I mean, to have exit velocities of close to 120, I mean, that's basically just Stanton who does that, right? And he was timed at 10 something to third base, a few hundredths of a second, better than Corbin Carroll, who was the top in baseball on a triple this year. So he's already the fastest guy home to third. And in terms of the exit velocity, that was 114, which was the highest by a Red this year. And in the minors, he had one game where he had 3 balls that were 118 plus. I don't even think Stanton has done that. So
yeah,
it's something to watch.
He's a StatCast legend, already 3 games into his career.
Exactly.
All right, let's bring this all home, John, and let's talk about your disappointing team of the week. Who is it?
Well, it would be the Mets, although we've already talked about the Mets. It's tough to top them for disappointing this week. But another disappointing team, a team I just mentioned, is the Cardinals. 26-37, still sitting in last place in one of the weaker divisions in baseball. If you watch their games or the highlights or lowlights, shall I say, it does not look like the Cardinals. It does not look like the Cardinal way. I do not know what's going on there. There were 2 pop-ups that were misplayed by Arenado. In one play, I think DeYoung probably looked like he called it, and so I'm not sure that was Arenado's fault. Just fell to the turf in foul territory. Another one he dropped. This is probably, if not the best defensive player in baseball, any position, certainly one of the top 5. I mean, he has basically a 0 defensive rating, neutral, not great, not bad, but should be great, right? They're making odd plays on the bases, odd plays in the field. They look disjointed. I know that John Mozeliak, their baseball president, said we're going to be buyers. We're not selling. About 2 or 3 weeks ago. I don't know. They might have to rethink that. I will say in that division, right now they still have a shot, but they better get their act together and fast.
Yeah, you're not kidding. 3-7 in their last 10. And like you said, it's just not going well offensively, pitching wise. It's really just not gelling to get together as a team. John, we appreciate you as always going around the bases, man.
My pleasure. Good talking to you, Ryan.